Assalamu alaikum. I'm Hamza from Mechatronics Department of Air University. This is our lab number 9. In this lab, we are going to discuss the USART. This is lab task 1. In this task, we have to use two controllers. We have to send input from one controller and send output of one controller, and the second controller receives that output as input and going to be displayed on the LCD. Then what happens? We have to use a hex keypad for first controller. Then the input from the hex keypad is going to be displayed on the LCD connecting to the second controller. So let's come to the code. So in this code, first we describe the CPU speed, then add the header file of AVR, delay header file, functions, display pin 2 num, and all this is previously explained in the previous lab tasks very briefly. I have elaborated that earlier. So this is our main task where we are using UCS registers. UCS. In this register, we are going to enable the transmit pin. So we make the transmit pin for our controller 1 as 1. So as our first controller is transmitting the data to the second controller, then we are using UCS Z01 and Z00 register and make them registers 1. So uh, our data is 8-bit, and then what we are going to do is we are going to make the baud rate to 103 using UVR registers. So after that, what we are going to do is here we have a while loop. Again, this is the loop for the hex keypad to initializing its rows and columns. I have explained that earlier. Now this is again pin to num function, explained it earlier. Our main task is here, which display num is going to be stored in disk, and let me show you here. Here we have using this while loop. This loop is basically shows when all the data is going to be transmit fully, then what happens, this disk is going to be stored in this register. So sorry for disturbance. Here we have the Proteus file in which here we have the Proteus file in which we have uploaded the we have the hex keypad for the first controller and LCD for the second controller. So we upload this program, its hex file to the first controller, and what is going to happen then, we upload the LCD, the same code with LCD library to the second controller, and what we press from the hex keypad of the first controller connected to the first controller is going to be displayed on the LCD connected to the second controller. So this is our lab task 1. So this is our second task. In this task, we are going to do the same procedure, but we make both the pins, both controllers as transmitter and receiver. Both the controllers can transmit and receive the data. So this is the same code. What we are going to do, just make the transmit and receiving pins one for both the controllers. Let me show you the program. So this is the program. I explained that earlier. But let's do it again. So here you can see that. So let me show you. I have included the header file of area, delay, match.h, interrupts file, and LCD file. So after that, this is the same case as we discussed earlier for the hex keypad. Then we make the port P007 for RSRW and enable pins of the LCD. And the other ports as the output ports. Then we have the LCD initialize function in which we are making transmit and receiving pins, both pins 1. After that, in the previous case, we just make the transmit pin 1. But in this case, we make both transmit and the receiving pins as 1. After that, we make UCS Z0 and Z01. 1 was set the boundary to 103, and then it is the same case as previous. This is explained in the previous task. Then we store the data to LCD data, and the LCD data then is then going to be displayed on LCD. Then we have the columns and rows for the hex keypad. Then here we have the main function in which what we are going to do, we check this until all the data is going to be. So here we have checked this whether all the data is going to be transmit. When all the data is going to be transmit, then it is going to be stored in this, and this was going to be displayed on LCD. So this is our lab task 2. This is all about lab number 9. For any query, comment below. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.